At 0 dark 30, submarine warfare in the Persian Gulf was doing what it always does, pretending to be empty. It isn't. It never is. At any given moment, there are tankers, dhows, IRGC patrol boats, and somewhere beneath all of it, things that don't show up on any surface radar screen because they were designed specifically to not show up on surface radar screens. The USS Montana had been on station for 11 days. A Virginia-class nuclear attack submarine, 377 feet long, 7,800 tons submerged, nuclear-powered, which means she doesn't need to surface for air, for fuel, or for any reason the commanding officer doesn't choose. She'd been running at 200 feet for the last 72 hours, slow and quiet, doing what submarines do best in contested water, listening. Her crew of 135 had been tracking an Iranian naval task group since it departed Bandar Abbas 3 days ago. 4 Mujh-class frigates, Iran's domestically produced surface combatant, 2 Sina-class fast attack craft riding escort, a replenishment vessel trailing 12 miles behind the formation. The task group had been running a loose patrol pattern in the northern Gulf, staying inside the 12 nautical mile coastal boundary where shallow water and surface traffic complicated any targeting solution that wasn't built slowly and carefully over days. The Montana had been building hers for 72 hours. Commander Lisa Rourke, 41, 14 years of submarine service, 2 previous patrols in the Pacific. She'd hunted Chinese submarines in water so shallow the thermal layers were useless and every shrimp boat sounded like a contact. The Persian Gulf was noisier, shallower, and hotter than anything she'd trained for. The water temperature gradient played havoc with sonar. The surface traffic was constant. The bottom topography was flat enough that bottom bounce returns cluttered the acoustic picture like static on an old television. None of that had stopped her from knowing exactly where those 4 frigates were. The Montana's fire control team had been running continuous tracking solutions on all 6 combatants since 200 on day 2. The towed array sonar, a 1,000-foot cable of hydrophones streaming behind the boat at slow speed, had built acoustic fingerprints on each vessel. Every ship has a unique sound signature, the cavitation pattern of its propellers, the harmonic frequency of its machinery, the rhythm of its pumps and generators cycling at intervals no engineer ever intended to be a targeting beacon, but which become one anyway when someone patient enough is listening. The lead frigate, designated Master 1, was running her port shaft 40 revolutions per minute faster than her starboard. A mechanical imbalance, probably a bearing issue the engineering crew had been nursing for weeks. It gave her a distinctive acoustic signature that the Montana's sonar operators could pick out of the ambient noise at 30 miles with their eyes closed. Master 2 had a cavitation flutter on her starboard propeller at speeds above 12 knots. Every time the formation accelerated, she announced herself. Maskers 3 and 4 were cleaner. Newer machinery, better maintained. Those were the ones Rourke watched most carefully. The ships that don't make noise are the ones that know someone might be listening. At 315 on day 3, the pattern changed. The task group altered course 40 degrees south and accelerated through 18 knots. The replenishment vessel didn't follow. It held its position in the northern patrol area and began transmitting on a frequency the Montana's EW suite classified in 6 seconds as an active search radar. Not a navigation radar. A targeting radar. The formation wasn't patrolling anymore. It was attacking something. Rourke didn't need to be told what the target was. The Eisenhower strike group was 140 miles southwest. 5th Fleet's primary carrier presence in the region, and the Montana had been tracking her own side surface ships on passive sonar for 2 days. The distinctive low-frequency signature of a nuclear carrier's propulsion plant was unmistakable even at that range. The task group's new course put it on a direct intercept bearing with the strike group at a closing speed that would put them inside anti-ship missile range in 4 hours and 20 minutes. She keyed the intercom. Firing point procedures, tubes 1 through 4. Target master 1 through 4. The fire control team had been ready for this since day 1. The Mark 48 AD-cap torpedoes in tubes 1 through 4 had been warmed up, solution updated, and ready for release since 200. The targeting geometry on all 4 frigates was clean. The Montana was inside 15 miles of the lead element, running at 6 knots on a parallel course, deep enough that the thermocline above her was acting as an acoustic shield between her and the formation's hull-mounted sonar. They didn't know she was there. That was about to change. Con. Sonar. Master 2 is increasing turns. She's accelerating. Rourke looked at the plot. Master 2 was pulling ahead of the formation, swinging east on a search pattern. Not random. Deliberate. Someone on that frigate had picked up something. Maybe a flow noise from the Montana's sail at slow speed. Maybe a towed array returned from one of the formation's own sensors. Maybe nothing more than instinct from a sonar operator who'd been in this water long enough to know when something felt wrong. She had 90 seconds before Master 2's new course put her hull-mounted sonar in a geometry that would strip away the thermal layer protection the Montana had been counting on. Firing point procedures. Tube 1, Master 2. Shoot. The Mark 48 ADCAP left the tube at 341. At launch weight, it's 3,500 pounds of wire-guided precision. A wire unreels behind it as it runs, keeping it connected to the Montana's fire control system, allowing Rourke's team to steer it, update its targeting solution, and make decisions a torpedo's own onboard guidance system can't make at range. Think of it as a very fast, very expensive dog on a very long leash. The dog finds the target. The handler decides when to let it go. Master 2 was 9 miles northeast, running at 22 knots on her new search course. The torpedo closed the geometry at 55 knots. 9 minutes and 40 seconds to intercept if nothing changed. Everything changed in 45 seconds. Con, sonar. Master 1 is turning. All contacts turning. They know. The formation had heard the torpedo launch transient. The distinctive pressure pulse of a weapon leaving a tube is one of the sounds submarine crews spend years learning to produce as quietly as possible, and surface ship sonar operators spend years learning to recognize at maximum range. The Iranians heard it. Their response was immediate and trained. All 4 frigates went to flank speed and began radical maneuvering. Anti-torpedo decoys fired from Master 3 and 4, broadcasting acoustic signatures designed to seduce an incoming torpedo away from the hull it was built to find. The replenishment vessel, 12 miles north, began transmitting on every frequency it had, flooding the acoustic environment with noise. The 2 Cena fast attack craft swung south at 40 knots, dropping anti-submarine warfare grenades in a pattern designed to force a submarine deep or force it to maneuver, either of which would break the wire on the outgoing torpedo and hand control back to its onboard guidance. Rourke watched the plot and made 4 decisions in 6 seconds. Cut the wire on Tube 1. The torpedo was close enough that its onboard active sonar could find Master 2 without guidance. Shoot Tube 2 at Master 1 before she opened the range past the wire guidance envelope. Shoot Tube 3 at Master 3, which was now showing the acoustic signature of a helicopter hangar door opening, meaning they were about to put an anti-submarine helicopter in the water. Hold Tube 4, cut wire Tube 1. Shoot Tube 2, Master 1. Shoot Tube 3, Master 3. 3 torpedoes in the water. The Montana accelerated to 25 knots and went deep, below the thermocline, below the grenade pattern from the fast attack craft, into the cold, dark water at 800 feet where the acoustics changed and the geometry reset. Above her, the Persian Gulf turned into a kill box. Tube 1's torpedo reacquired Master 2 on active sonar at 4 miles and went to terminal guidance. Master 2 put her helm hard over and fired every decoy she had. The torpedo evaluated the decoys, classified 2 as false targets, and corrected its course toward the hull that was still moving at 22 knots and still making that distinctive cavitation flutter on her starboard propeller. The flutter that had been in the Montana's targeting library for 72 hours. Impact at 351. Master 2's keel broke at the forward engine room. She was stopped and flooding in 40 seconds. Tube 2's torpedo lost its wire at 6 miles when the Montana maneuvered deep. Its onboard guidance acquired Master 1 on the first active ping, classified her as a valid target, and ran the intercept geometry without help. The bearing issue on Master 1's port shaft, the one her engineering crew had been nursing for weeks, made her acoustic signature impossible to confuse with a decoy. The torpedo didn't confuse it. Impact at 354. Tube 3 never found Master 3. The helicopter had launched in time, an Iranian SH-3 Sea King dropping active sonobuoys in a pattern that bracketed the Montana's last known position. The sonobuoys couldn't find the Montana at 800 feet, but they could find the torpedo's wire trail and backtrack it to a datum that was close enough. Close enough to put the helicopter's dipping sonar in the right piece of water. Rourke heard the dipping sonar active ping at 356. It was close. Too close. A head flank. Hard right rudder. Tube 4, snapshot, bearing 20. A snapshot is what submarine crews call a torpedo fired without a full solution. You have a bearing. You have an approximate range from the sonar ping that just found you. You don't have time for anything else. The Mark 48 leaves the tube and runs toward the bearing with its own active seeker looking for whatever made that ping. The helicopter crew heard the launch transient and climbed. Hard. Fast. The torpedo seeker acquired the dipping sonar cable still in the water and followed it toward the surface. The helicopter cut the cable at 200 feet altitude and banked away. The torpedo ran through empty water, found nothing, and went into search mode. Rourke used the 4 minutes the snapshot bought her to put 8 miles between the Montana and the datum. At 800 feet, 25 knots, the Montana was the loudest thing in the water. She couldn't afford to stay loud for long. She went to 4 knots at 401 and disappeared. By 420, the tactical picture had resolved. 2 Iranian frigates were dead in the water. 1 was sinking. Master 3 and Master 4 had broken south at flank speed and were no longer on an intercept course with the Eisenhower. The replenishment vessel had gone silent and turned north toward Bandar Abbas. The 2 fast attack craft were circling the wreckage of Master 2, performing search and rescue operations, which meant they were no longer a tactical threat to anyone. The Montana had fired 4 torpedoes, 2 kills, 1 miss, 1 snapshot that bought time and cost nothing except a torpedo the armory could absorb. Rourke wrote her contact report at 430, running at 200 feet on a southerly course, putting distance between the Montana and the datum before the Iranians could get fixed-wing maritime patrol aircraft airborne from Bandar Abbas. Her course was taking her toward the Strait of Hormuz, where the deep water channels would give her better maneuvering room and thermal layer protection. The report was brief: coordinates, time, results, ammunition status, no editorializing. Submarine commanders don't editorialize. They report what happened and what they need. What she needed was 2 replacement Mk-48s and a new towed array section. The hard maneuvering at depth had stressed the cable connection point. It would hold for another week, maybe 2. She logged it as a maintenance item and filed it behind the contact report. The Eisenhower strike group never knew how close the intercept had come. They received the contact report at 445, noted the grid references of the 2 stricken frigates, and updated their threat picture accordingly. On the Eisenhower's bridge, the officer of the deck looked at the updated plot, looked at the position of the 2 destroyed frigates, and looked at the course they'd been running before the Montana found them. He didn't say anything, he just updated the log and poured himself a coffee. Some threats you never see coming, some you never see at all. That's the whole point.